Okay, so this is a topic that just recently became pretty popular in the past couple of hours, thanks to legendary Hall of Fame worthy wrestler Mickey James, into which he mentioned age and the gender disparities. So, age and gender disparities within wrestling is something, once again, that goes back to a previous video I did about veterans in wrestling in their place. However, one of that added on to this now that I actually didn't even really think was an issue would be women of a certain age in professional wrestling, what issues they may face as well. But it's a very interesting sort of topic because I actually haven't, unless they're like already in wrestling, I've never seen a woman wrestler get denied an event or a match because of her age. That's an interesting thing because the only hindrance for somebody's age in wrestling, honestly, is their ability. Because if they can still wrestle, you can use them, and you can even cite Jerry Lynn in Ring of Honor as a great example, as him being a lot older than those guys at the time, and he was still competing in Ring of Honor, being older than most of those guys as well. And one interesting thing, the only reason she might be shooting a subliminal at WWE's management, like Vince McMahon or various people, because they may have said something about age as to where fans like us did not and would not. They probably had an issue with age and wrestling, which if they did, for women especially, that's kind of messed up because, like I said, I've never really seen that before or heard of it because women in wrestling, usually most women in wrestling either stop at a certain point, go venture off, or begin to build a family, different scenarios, but to be denied, a match or being told you're too old to go is something interesting for women in wrestling. That's something I've never even could fathom would be an issue, especially with a growing want and need for women in wrestling and women wanting to get into it more and more than ever before. Like in the past, it's a very niche crowd. You had Glow, you had Joshi, but that's about it. It's a very small crowd as to where now it's an ever growing presence. And if WWE, hypothetically speaking, told a Mickey James or a Natalia they're too old, but at the same time promoting women and putting them on the forefront is very hypocritical. And to me, this is an issue that a lot of people need to jump on, not the whole Jim Cornette scenario, which you don't know the backstory behind that. Maybe some truth behind what his statement was, maybe it's not. But my point is, this is something, especially with Women's Month right now, we're reaching the middle of the month. This is a time where people that, quote unquote, claim to be all about women and for women should sit and hold WWE or various companies accountable for ageism in professional wrestling. Something I feel as though, like I said, if the person's able, let them do it. What's the problem? In my opinion, let them go for it. If Mickey James feels as though she got 5 more years in her, let her do it. Let her be up and down the card, helping young women and helping them out, or helping establish a main event level for women's wrestlers in WWE. And that goes to any companies that have women wrestlers that are a little older, that feel as though they can still go. As long as they can still wrestle, they can still talk, they can still garner a crowd. Yes, let them, because there's no reason why you shouldn't. There's nothing stopping you from having them be on a card to help boost the athletes of tomorrow. There's no issue I see with that at all. You should just let them do it. That still blows my mind. I saw her and Ty Valkyrie going back for on Twitter. I'm not sure what the the thing was about. I couldn't really read it. I was a little tired, you know, going through a lot of things personally, but I hope it was, in a positive light, because I'm not too sure of Taya's age as well, and if she's a little older than most of the women in WWE, and they're giving her flack about it too. Like I said, WWE, you gotta tighten up because you can't be about one thing and about another thing at the same time. You can't say you're for women and then telling a woman you're too old to wrestle. That makes no sense at all. That is the epitome of hypocrisy right there at this point. Because how can you tell somebody that yet you're air quote for set genders, uprise? That makes no sense at all. That, like I said, it's just something I never even thought about, because to me that shouldn't even be a problem, especially for something like women's wrestling, who that needs as many hands on deck as possible to make women be seen not just as women's wrestlers, but are wrestlers that happen to be women. You have to, that's something that should just be an automatic, especially while you're building a foundation. You're building something. Everybody that wants to do it, come on in. If you feel as though you can help this become something bigger than just a small one-time pay-per-view, then go for it. Let them. But otherwise, I don't know. This is a relatively short video for me because I don't have too much to say on it because of the matter, because it doesn't, it's not registering in my head like why anybody would have ageism against a female wrestler, women's wrestler who can still go. And that's something to me that doesn't make any sense. And she's right about the hypocrisy, because if you're telling, that's why I figured it's something behind the scenes, because I've seen, people say Goldberg's too old or different people are too old, but I haven't seen that said about women. That's why I'm saying this must be something that WWE is telling her or alluding to her behind the scenes, that she's too old. Now, on a marketing standpoint, it's still a little touch and go. I could see them saying that they want younger women, but you're not appealing to that audience anymore that's into that sort of teenager, 18-year-old looking person. You're not feeding to that audience anymore, WWE. So why would you sit and have those little smart little remarks about somebody? That doesn't make any sense to me. When you're not feeding into the beer drinking audience anymore, WWE, you're not on that. You're about inclusivity and you're for all ages. So how are you going to have ageism and want younger women, but at the same time you tell this woman that she can't do it anymore? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, comment, subscribe, add your input. I don't know.